So Paul Kohler with U.S. Sidecar Racing Association. This is Randy Hoffman. I'm going to let Randy do most of the talking. I'm going to ask a few questions. This is a special race for you, Randy. I'd like you to tell us why.
It's one of a series of special races. So my history is that I had a pinched nerve in my neck from years of racing bicycles and motorcycles. And in 2019, I had a routine 2-hour surgery for a spinal fusion and discectomy. And 30 hours and 4 surgeries later, I came out paralyzed from the neck down. They went in here twice, went in the back twice. They woke me up twice while I was still intubated. And being a paramedic, I remember thinking that something was wrong here. So once they woke me up, basically I could sort of move one finger. And most doctors said I would never walk again, and that was kind of it. And I, being the personality that I am, I said that they were wrong, not really having any idea of what was going on, because I was heavily medicated. So I was in the hospital. I was in 2 hospitals for a few months, and then I went to rehab. It was sort of a nursing home rehab facility, which ended up being really great because it was close to my home, so I could have friends visit. But COVID hit a week later, and no visitors were allowed. So after 9 months, they sent me home. I could kind of walk with a walker. But one of the really bad things about the whole thing, besides being paralyzed, was I developed a pressure sore that almost became septic, which is very common in hospitals. Anyway, long story short, I got home, continued rehab, started being able to walk with 2 canes, then with 1 cane. I can walk now with no canes, but not for a long distance, so I typically walk with a cane. So I had a few goals in mind. One was walking out of the rehab, which I was able to do with a walker. The other was getting my bowel control back, so I didn't have to wear diapers. That happened. And then getting back on the racetrack, which brings us to the sidecar. So about 1.5 years ago, Rob Iannucci, who owns Team Obsolete, I was making some stuff for them, and he called me and he said he heard about this Sealy sidecar, and he thought it was a sitter, and he thought it would be great for me. We could put a G50 matchless motor in it. So he said, let's find it. So I made phone calls. Nobody knew anything about it. So then, a little more than 1 year ago, we were going down to New Jersey. I was driving down to New Jersey with him to the races, and he said, I found it. And I said, okay. And he said, Chris Candy has it, the son of the guy who built it. So he said, but I don't have Chris's number. So I made a few phone calls, got Chris's number, we called him. Chris was at the racetrack in New Jersey. So he came over, showed us pictures, and the deal was we were gonna buy the outfit from him and give him the motor back that his dad built, which we didn't know anything about. And we were gonna put a G50 motor in it. Well, anyway, made the deal. We got it about a month later, and when we saw it, we were like, holy shit, that's pretty amazing. So here's the story. This fellow, Maurice Candy, an Englishman, built this motor from nothing in 1964. He made the patterns for casting the engine cases, made the patterns and castings for the head and the barrel. It's a bevel drive, double overhead cam, 8-valve, 2-cylinder, 500. It's got a 1-piece crank that he made. It's got Corilla rods in it. At one point, it had titanium rods and beryllium pistons, but now it's got Corilla rods. It's got a shaft lighter 6-speed magnesium gearbox, which was one of the very first ones in 1964. And if you're going to protest us, we've got paperwork. So we made the deal to keep the motor. Colin Seeley built the chassis for this motor. And the story is that he was taking too long, so Maurice went over to his house and said, I'm not leaving until it's done. If you read the Colin Seeley books, there's a mention of Maurice Candy being a very slow racer. So when we got it, it had been partially rebuilt, and Cliff and Seth reverse engineered it based on paperwork that we had. And we got it running. We rode it at Roebling Road. It didn't run well. We had a lot of issues. And then we brought it here, and we had some carburation stuff, but it's getting sorted out. And the last practice went out, it was running good, and I think the battery died. It's got a Manx Norton front wheel and a Matchless G50 rear wheel. The fuel pump runs off a cam on the chair wheel. So it's like a car fuel pump, and it pumps up and down following the cam. So when we're on the starting line, if we're held, my passenger has to pump the fuel. We're getting through it.
So it's innovative in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Right?
There's so many question marks here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is, how much do you not know about this?
He knows more than anybody in the world about this motor. He's the only person.
This is obviously a very unique engine.
Yes.
I can't pretend to know anything about it, so why don't you tell us about the engine, and if you hear someone loud going by, you might want to give them a second to get by. So what have you done to the engine?
We've gone down as far as taking the head off. Randy made some new oil returns for it, which they're hidden in the fins, but it's got external oil returns on it, which
They're
are
spring-loaded, so
yeah,
compresses.
It's a weird system.
How long did you work on it before you tried to start it?
It's about a month and a half.
Really?
Full time.
Ignition, what does it have for an ignition?
It's got Lucas points on it.
No way. Lucas, it's great wiring, right?
You guys got this. Did it come with any extra parts? Like, do you have extra blocks or anything? Or?
No, there's no other castings. We've got some valves, some of the bevel gears, not a lot. There's some extra sets of pistons, just random things, bearings and little stuff like that. It is quick. We've taken it around the pits, and it's
I've
peppy.
taken it around the track, and it's going to go. Once we get it sorted.
Does it use any other manufacturer parts in the construction?
There's a
of the engine?
Nourish crank, Amol carbs, Carrillo rods, yeah.
But no production, like
It's
the
all-
bevels.
There's drawings for everything, basically, but not about how it works together. Yeah, there's drawings. He designed the valves. He designed. It's not even rockers. I don't even know what you would call it. It's a hinged, like the cam rides on this hinged finger actuator, I guess. I've never seen another one like
With
it.
shims, valve shims on top.
Yeah.
Did he go on to design any other motors, or was this his like holy grail?
Not that we know it. There was an earlier version of it which had a chain-driven dual overhead cams.
He was a machinist toolmaker for Stott paper. So one of his passengers, from what we could tell, probably his main passenger, a guy with the last name of DuPont from the DuPont family. We just found out they used to helicopter this around to different race circuits. It's been 7 years since I've been on a sidecar.
Let me just back up. You've got race history.
Yeah, I've been
On
racing
solo bike.
solo vintage bikes for about 35 years. And I raced a BMW sidecar outfit and a Triumph sidecar outfit up to about 7 years ago. So before we got it, we thought, well, we're going to have to tilt the knee cups up, put risers on the handlebars because I can't really lift my neck. I'd gotten on my friend's sidecar outfit and it was really bad. I couldn't do anything. When this came, I got on it and I thought, I can do this. It's shorter than I was on Jim's Norton, and it's very long and I couldn't lift my head, and this one just fits me.
Tell us about its Isle of Man history. Well, did Maurice and Colin Seeley build it for Isle of Man?
As far as we know, Yes, and we've got some of the results, and they seem to do well. Apparently, he designed the motor mount so that he could put a BSA 810 motor in, use the same motor mounts and bolts, which is
swap the motor in 10 minutes to run different classes.
Because in the Isle of Man, they used to run a 500 and a 750. This is running SC1, which is, I guess, up to 500 cc twins or 500 singles. And this weekend, there's nobody else in my class. So when we finish,
we can bump you to SC2.
Maybe.
You might get this thing running and give Tim Joyce a run for his money.
Well, I don't know about that, but not this. We'll see.
What are your personal goals? I think we talked a little bit about that, but what are your personal goals and what are your goals with the sidecar?
Well,
so what are your personal goals first?
Keep going on this. Get through the whole season, get to Barber, because, Barber's the show, I guess. Keep developing it, I guess you would call it, or figuring it out and then developing it. I want to get on my 48 Velo set. I run pre-1940 on that. And I've got a 51 Manx Norton that I've never raced before. So I would like to do that. The problem is getting my feet up on the pegs. They're a little high, so I've made some adjustments, but I don't want to modify those bikes to me. I want to be able to figure it out. And just keep racing with Team Obsolete. It's been great so far. I don't see it changing.